It's not just Juju coming into the WNBA. Are people actually going to want to pay up? In other words, take a $10 WNBA ticket and turn it into a $70 WNBA ticket or a $140 WNBA ticket, which sounds nuts just out loud to even say that about a WNBA ticket, but that sort of shows you the craziness. But behind Caitlin Clark, the mainstream media has always tried to share Caitlin Clark's spotlight with others, and this trend shows no signs of stopping. The latest controversy comes from ESPN First Take Stephen A. Smith, who has now set his sights on Juju Watkins. Nonetheless, they went on a rant today about Juju Watkins should be talked about in the same way as Caitlin Clark. He actually tried to compare her to Caitlin Clark. Can you believe it? It's like comparing a rookie to a superstar who's already changed the game. Let's be real for a second. Clark isn't just good, she's record-breaking good. Where do we even start? I mean, Caitlin Clark's actually already in the WNBA and has already been WNBA All-First Team, All-WNBA First Team. Think about that now as a rookie, and led the league in assists and scored 19 points, and her team, which had the first pick last year, made it to the playoffs. That's right. She did all that as a rookie and took her team to the playoffs. Meanwhile, Watkins hasn't even stepped on a WNBA court yet. So why is the media pushing this comparison so hard? So Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bombshell on ESPN's First Take, and basketball fans are losing their minds. Picture this: Smith sitting there bold as ever, and he starts talking about Juju Watkins like she's the second coming of Caitlin Clark. Can you believe it? Here's what went down. Smith's going on and on about Watkins, with Shannon Sharpe praising her game, which is fine, but then he takes it way too far. We should be talking about her the way we talked about Caitlin Clark last year. Did he actually say that the same breath, as if Watkins, who hasn't even stepped on a WNBA court yet, is somehow on par with the rookie sensation who's already rewriting the record books? You should have seen the reaction. Basketball fans everywhere are shaking their heads, wondering if Smith's lost his mind. One fan hit the nail on the head in a response to the video on X. There's only one Caitlin. Stop always using her name to talk about the other players. They're absolutely right. There really is only one Caitlin Clark. How can you compare someone who's still in college to a player who's already dominating the pros? And it's not just the stats. Clark's got this electricity on the court, the way she sees the game. Those no-look passes, the logo threes, it's like she's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Watkins might have potential, but Clark's already proven she can do it at the highest level. And here's the real kicker: this isn't just about comparing two players. It's about how the media keeps trying to create these forced rivalries. If you want to talk about her, then talk about it. What do you mean we need to talk about her? It's as if they can't accept that people will care about who they want to care about without being forced. You know what's crazy? This comparison actually does more harm than good. It puts so much pressure on Watkins and diminishes what Clark's already achieved. It's not just you coming into the WNBA. Are people actually going to want to pay up? In other words, take a $10 WNBA ticket and turn it into a $70 WNBA ticket or a $140 WNBA ticket. Can Watkins really do that? Clark's now changing the game, setting records, and bringing in viewers like nobody's business. Watkins might be great one day, but right now there's no comparison. You might think you've seen rookie sensations before, but Caitlin Clark's first year in the WNBA, it's like she rewrote the rulebook on what's possible. Remember all those doubters who said she couldn't hack it in the pros? Well, they're real quiet now, and for good reason. The numbers Clark put up, they're not just good for a rookie. They're historic. When Clark entered the league as the #1 pick, expectations were sky high. With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark, but even the most optimistic fans couldn't have predicted what she'd do. She didn't just meet expectations, she blew them out of the water. We're talking about a rookie who came in and immediately started playing like a seasoned pro. This isn't normal. This is not supposed to be a special. This is special. Here's where it gets really interesting. Clark didn't just put up good numbers. She led the entire league in assists. Can you even wrap your head around that? She did that as a rookie. We're talking about a first-year player outperforming veterans who've been in the league for years. It's like she showed up with a cheat code or something. She is now the all-time rookie leader in points, assists, and three-pointers. There is exceeding expectations, and then there is whatever Caitlin Clark continues to do in her rookie season in the WNBA. She has taken every bar set for her and gone over it, and that is ridiculously impressive. Caitlin Clark is making a lot of people look silly, thinking that it would have taken more time than this, and instead she is right. She was supposed to be, and then some, And it's not just about individual stats. Clark transformed her entire team, remember. This was a lottery team. They were at the bottom of the barrel last season. He's having impact on her team that nobody else in the league is having on her team. This is a team that went 13-27 last year, and suddenly the Indiana Fever are the hottest team by far in the league, but with Clark running the show, they made it to the playoffs. That's right, from last place to playoff contenders in one season. It's the kind of turnaround that makes you double-check the standings to make sure you're not seeing things. I always go back to Polly's article in GQ. There's a difference between great players and phenomenons. No one ever said Caitlin Clark wasn't like there. No one ever said there weren't ever great players before Caitlin Clark. There was never phenomenons, not in my lifetime with women's basketball, and I went to UConn, so I've seen plenty of great players, but nobody's ever moved a needle in my lifetime like this. Yes, that's all. This is what we think there. I don't know, you keep chipping away at it, and it shouldn't be now. Let's talk about those jaw-dropping passes and clutch shots. Clark's got this uncanny ability to see the court like nobody else. She's threading needles with her passes, finding teammates that didn't even know they were open. And when the game's on the line, if you like the video, then like the video and subscribe to the channel. Clark's the one you want with the ball. She's got ice in her veins, knocking down shots that leave defenders shaking their heads. So, why was Clark's rookie season so historically great? It's simple. She didn't just adapt to the pro game. She elevated it. She brought a level of excitement and skill that had fans and analysts alike buzzing. Clark didn't just live up to the hype. She created a whole new level of hype. But here's the kicker, some people still aren't impressed. Can you believe it? Despite all the records, the highlights and the wins, there are still folks out there trying to downplay what Clark's done. It's like they're watching a different game or something. You want to throw in Angel Reese? You want to throw the memory of Cheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper like it's a win? We got it. Just this is a unique moment. Caitlin Clark did for the WNBA what Wayne Gretzky did for the NHL when he went to the LA. Ever wonder why some players keep getting compared to Caitlin Clark even when the stats don't add up? It's not just bad math, it's a carefully crafted illusion, and the reason behind it, it's more shocking than you might think. The media is playing a dangerous game, and Caitlin Clark's at the center of it, kind of like Angel Reese. And you know, I keep using her as an example because she can't make a podcast without bringing up Caitlin Clark's name. They're not just reporting anymore, they're manufacturing drama. Remember how they tried to pit Angel Reese against Clark? It's like Angel Reese, they could not bring up the Rookie of the Year last year without shoehorn and Angel Reese in every article. Remember talking about ratings and viewership? They would not talk about Caitlin Clark without putting Angel Reese's name in. Well, it's happening all over again with Juju Watkins. But what's driving this obsession with creating rivals for Clark? Here's the truth, it's all about the views. Clark's games are drawing in fans like crazy. The numbers don't lie. When Clark plays, people tune in, but instead of just celebrating her talent, the media is trying to create these forced rivalries. I wonder, will they ever acknowledge her? 7 years from now, 2-3 MVPs and a couple of championships. No, not gonna be good enough. I promise, not in the mainstream media. Anyway, it's like they can't stand the idea of one player being that good. It leaves fans wondering when the mainstream media will finally recognize Clark for the incredible impact she's had on the sport and move past these pointless comparisons. They're talking about college and this and that and the other. Didn't Caitlin Clark literally have like the two biggest college seasons in the history of the planet Earth for a women's basketball player? I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. But here we go. They're going to try to shove this player along with Paige down your throat. What's crazy? Real rivalries, the ones that get fans excited, they can't be forced. They happen naturally on the court, but the media doesn't seem to get that. They're so busy trying to create the next big storyline. They're missing the amazing basketball that's happening right in front of them. So, what's really going on with Juju Watkins? Let's cut through the noise and look at the facts. Everyone's talking about Juju Watkins' potential, but potential doesn't win championships. What if I told you there's a key difference between Watkins and Clark that the media isn't telling you? It's time to separate the hype from the reality now. Don't get me wrong. Juju Watkins is good. Really good. She's got skills that make scouts drool. Juju Watkins is a marvelous basketball player for University of Southern California. Last night, she had another 30-point game. She broke Caitlin Clark's record, most 30-point games through a sophomore season. She's a terrific basketball player. We're talking about a player who can put the ball on the floor, pull off a sweet Euro step, and even knock down one-legged three-pointers, and her defense top-notch. But here's the thing. Is that enough to put her in the same conversation as Caitlin Clark? Let's look at the numbers. Clark's college stats were off the charts. She was breaking records left and right, leaving defenders in the dust. Can you even believe that Clark has been a phenomenon right from college? Sure, Watkins is putting up impressive numbers too, but they're not quite at that Clark level, and when you watch them play, there's just something different about Clark. She's got this electricity, this it factor that you can't teach. You know what really sets Clark apart? It's not just her skills, it's her impact on the game. She fires when Clark steps on the court. Everything changes. The energy in the arena, the way defenses scramble, the impossible passes she makes look easy. Watkins is talented, no doubt, but she hasn't shown that game-changing ability yet. So what does Watkins need to do to reach Clark's level? It's a tall order. She needs to not just be great, but historic. They weren't watching this, no matter how great a player Kelsey Plum, Sabrina, I ask you, Brianna Stewart, all great players, but they weren't doing this. No, Kelsey Plum scored 3,500 points in her career. But she wasn't the attraction here. Sabrina, I ask you, as a triple-doubled organ. She's not the player that Caitlin Clark. She needs to do things we've never seen before, and even then there's no guarantee, because let's face it, there's only one Caitlin Clark. Here's the bottom line. Forcing this comparison isn't fair to either player. Watkins deserves the chance to forge her own path without constant comparisons to a generational talent, and Clark, her achievements speak for themselves. No forced rivalry needed. This is going to be history, pretty epic, that we get to watch her. Not a lot of games here in Dallas with somebody that big of a star. Let's face it, Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the game, she's redefining it. Her impact goes way beyond stats. She's bringing a whole new energy to women's basketball, making every game feel like a must-watch event. You can't measure that kind of influence with numbers alone. You could tell the difference with the WNBA impact on the city ever since, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Everybody's come out of the draft. Here's the thing. We don't need to force comparisons to appreciate greatness. Clark's talent speaks for itself, and guess what? The future of women's basketball is looking brighter than ever. We've got rising stars like Juju Watkins and Angel Reese making waves too, but instead of pitting them against each other, why not celebrate each player for their unique skills? So next time you watch a game, take a moment to appreciate the talent on display. No forced rivalries, no overblown comparisons, just pure basketball brilliance. That's what this sport is all about, and with players like Clark leading the way, the best is yet to come. Thanks for watching, and subscribe my channel.